What's going on, everybody? Alongside TJ Calkins, Jay Sannon here for ATS, getting you ready for another UFC Fight Night card. It's UFC Vegas 42 from, that's right, Las Vegas. That's right in the name. TJ, I know you got three best bets on this card. We will start out with Miguel Baeza taking on Chaos Williams. Baeza a minus 145 favorite, fight minus 175 to end inside the distance. What do you see happening in this battle?
I see it ending inside the distance. Chaos Williams, I mean, we know he has big one-shot power. He's had some fun knockouts in the UFC, but he is something of a one-trick pony when it comes to that. He does slow down as the fights progress, and he doesn't have a fully well-rounded game. We saw in his last fight, actually, Matthew Semmelsberger was actually able to hurt his lead leg with the leg kicks. Man, Baeza is a different animal when it comes to that. His kicks are truly dangerous. And he's finished a fight in the UFC with those leg kicks already. So that could be a huge problem. And we saw Chaos try to switch stances, and he just has no stance switch. So that could be a huge problem for him. The other thing is, if Baeza starts to hinder the movement, hurts the leg, or is just able to get a takedown of any sort, the gap between them in the grappling realm is an absolute ocean. I think it would go a lot like the Sato fight for Baeza, where he would be somewhat even with a striker, maybe more volume, but then once he gets the takedown, it's just cutting through him like a knife through butter. So for Baeza, it's just survive that first couple minutes, don't eat the wrong power shot, and he just has every path to victory, and all of them are inside the distance. So with both fighters sitting at plus 200 win the fight inside the distance, I think Baeza is the better bet, and we're going to take Baeza ITD plus 200.
TJ, next up, Thiago Moises taking on Joel Alvarez. Moises a minus 240 favorite. Do you think he justifies that price and comes through with a win?
Yeah, I think he justifies that price and then some. This is just an unspeakable jump in competition for Joel Alvarez, who, I mean, he was submitting guys like Joe Duffy in his retirement fight, guillotine from guard. You know, you just don't see that. UFC, it's kind of crazy. And Alvarez is somewhat reliant on those submissions off his back. He doesn't care if he gets taken down, but in this fight he should, because Moises is the better BJJ player, and those submissions against the lower level guys are just not going to be there. In the stand-up, Alvarez is tall, he's long, he's super, super long for lightweight, but you just don't see him being in the same class with Moises, who isn't an elite striker by any means, but I cannot overstate how much Alvarez would have to level up to be competitive in this fight. I mean, Moises' last fight was a main event against Islam Makhachev, so I mean, this is going to seem like a sparring session to him. So yeah, I don't know if it gets done inside the distance, but minus 250 just feels like fantastic value. I don't see a path for Alvarez to win this fight outside of landing a perfect head kick at range or something. So we're just going to take Moises minus 250.
And TJ, your final play on this card, Cynthia Calvillo, a minus 135 favorite, taking on Andrea Lee. And do you see the favorite coming through in this one as well?
No, I don't. Well, they had the favorite correct to begin with when it was Andrea Lee, and then for whatever reason, the public wants to bet Calvillo here, and I just don't get it. You know, her last two fights, she was basically owned by Caitlin Chookagian and Jessica Andrade. Now, when you look to find similarities between Andrade and Chookagian, there are none. There are absolutely none. The only key for both of those fighters was don't get taken down. Calvillo is not a great wrestler, but she is fantastic when she gets on top on the floor. So that's the only thing that an opponent has to avoid. She is very, very average or worse if she's forced into a strictly a striking battle. And it's absolutely no different. Andrea Lee is levels above her. She's going to piece her up in the striking. So Lee has been taken down. So she's going to have to mind her P's and Q's here, but I just don't see Calvillo's wrestling, or her wrestling itself will be able to do it. Maybe a clinch trip takedown or something. Even still, I don't know that she's going to submit Lee, so Lee might give up a round in that spot. In any event, Lee was going to be a play when she was a favorite. Now she's the biggest value on the card as an underdog, and we're just going to take her on the flat line. And we could even see Lee working some wrestling of her own, some ground game of her own. She looked phenomenal against Antonina Shevchenko in the last fight. I mean, that triangle, armbar triangle, it was just a lot of fun. It was kind of a domination. So, yeah, we're going to take Lee as an underdog here and in a spot where the wrong fighter is absolutely.
And TJ, I want to get your thoughts real quick on the main event. Certainly not a lot of value in the betting market on this one, with Max Holloway being a minus 700 favorite. But what do you think about that fight against Yair Rodriguez?
I think the line's justified, which is wild for a main event. Yair is just, he's not going to outvalue Max. He's not going to technically beat Max. He's not going to knock Max out, and he's not going to take him down. So while we probably see a lot of minutes of fight time, I think it's going to look a lot like the Holloway Cater fight where Max is just better. He'll eat some shots. The other fighter will have just a few moments, but it'll just be a clear runaway for Max Holloway. If you wanted to get aggressive and put a play on the main event, you're actually getting a plus figure on Max to win inside the distance. It's plus 120. That is possible in the later rounds. Just maybe an Ortega attrition deal, or like his fight with Ortega when it was just a matter of attrition. So that would be the play, but it's a better fight to sit out and just watch Max set himself up for another title shot.
TJ, thanks for your thoughts on these fights. Excellent as always. To get more thoughts from TJ on these fights, I cannot recommend highly enough. Go to ats.io. You get the whole written preview from TJ. You get all the thoughts you got here and a whole lot more. You do not want to miss it. For TJ Calkins, this is Jay Sannon saying see you later. Good luck on your UFC Fight Night action.